Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's App, a space for Asian American progressive voices in California. Here's What's App today, running for office. So we have a special guest today, Kenneth Mejia, who's currently running for the LA City Controller. He's a Green Party candidate. All right, Kenneth, so thanks for joining us today. I know it's been a busy start to the new year, so appreciate your time. First question that we have as an icebreaker is, what favorite artist or musician from the culture you identify with is your favorite? And you can talk about your background too, just like your cultural background, if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, does it have to be? It could be an artist in any aspect of art, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like dancing or like,
yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I'm a dancer, so I mean, when I grew up, I did like Filipino folk dance, and I gradually deviated into like hip hop. So I danced hip hop. Like I have some YouTube videos of me dancing like at dance class.
Nice.
So I would say like, there's a ton of artists, ton of dancers that I'm a fan of. Let me see. Who could I mention? There's so many. There's from the Jabberwockies. There's, what else? There's also Ryan Puspo. He's a dancer. There's also Megan Batoon. She's a dancer. She's Filipino as well. So yeah, I mean, those are some dancers that I really watched their videos, and they did big things for themselves, doing what they do, and and being themselves. So
that's very cool. Go ahead.
It's an Olympic sport now. And so like Filipinos and Koreans are really going to be super competitive.
Oh God, really? It's going to be awesome. I mean,
it is.
That's
yeah.
Oh yeah. The K-pop. It's pretty cool.
Right.
And my follow-up was, is there anyone local that you support? Or
I mean, they're local. The ones I said, they're
nice.
in LA. They're based out of LA. So
okay, awesome. Okay, cool. So, why are you running for controller? That is what is on our minds.
No, that's a good question. I mean, first of all, to start off with, thank you for having me on, both of you. A lot of people don't even know what the controller position is. It's a citywide race along with the mayor and city attorney, but it usually gets the lowest amount of turnout. When Ron Galperin ran, who's the current controller who terms out in 2 years or next year, he ran unopposed, and only 290,000 people voted for him. And, we're residents of 4 million. So, I mean, there's just a lot of people are unaware of the position in general. And I think it's because our city hasn't done a good job at explaining what these positions are, or they haven't done a good amount of outreach. And so, the city controller is the city's elected chief accounting officer, the auditor, and the paymaster. And so I come from a professional background in accounting. I've been an auditor and I've done accounting for over 11 years. And now that it's an elected position, I mean, it's been an elected position, but people want to know, especially with the recent years and the way we're spending our budget, is where's our money? Where are we getting our money? Where are we spending it all? Right. And so I think having a progressive controller who can really bring about transparency, who can bring about financial data accessibility, where you don't have to jump through 20 different websites to find the information that you're trying to find. Mm-hmm. And also just making it digestible too, because sometimes people look at financial data and there's millions of Excel rows and you're like, how the hell do I make of this? And so we want to provide data that's digestible. So, I mean, that's why we're running, and we also want to be educational too. We want to use the office to teach people about finances and accounting, so that they too can, better arm themselves with knowledge when they go talk to their city council members when asking for resources or whatnot. So that's why we are running.
I think Katie Porter has done a really good job of like explaining her position and her role. So yeah, I think if you could bring that to the controller position, that would be amazing.
Yep.
Who's Katie Porter?
Congresswoman. She uses a lot of like big charts during her presentations, right, Jim?
Yeah, she uses a lot of tools to just explain what a bill is or what she does, using videos and charts and
nice,
lots of things. Yeah,
very cool. So,
what do you want to achieve as a city controller? And actually, before you go into that, what power does a city controller have?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we are not policymakers, right? So if people ask us like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna make laws? Or we're not in a policy making or law making role, but we are an oversight role. So we can affect policy through the data that we provide, so that it does shape our city council members and our lawmakers thinking when they go and create, a bill or try to, vote on certain things, right? Anything that the city does touches money, right? And anything in our life touches money. And so the controller has the unique function to operate independently of the city council and the mayor. And the fact that we are an elected position, and if the people want us to do something, in regards to the city's finances, whether it's they want us to be more transparent and post the city's finances every 2 weeks, or they want us to constantly use social media to talk about how much money we're spending on the police or how much we're spending on, providing services for the unhoused community. We can do that. And we could also provide audits that can determine if departments are being effective, right? And in turn can determine how much money we should be giving to, certain critical areas or reducing spending in certain areas, when it comes to the creation of a new budget, right? And so, our power is being independent, being able to conduct audits, being able to make sure that we're not going over budget, based on what the city council and the mayor approve. And we just have that power to really be transparent. And in turn, that can affect how people take that data, and like city council members or even the public and go back to their people and be like, hey, like, I didn't know we were spending over $3 billion on the police every year. Like, look at housing is only getting 100 something million. Like, this isn't right. Right. So that's sort of the way we can direct/indirectly affect policies, by putting data and numbers out there and auditing departments to see if they're being effective. Because I think one thing we need to do better as a city is we need to determine if we just keep throwing money at things, if there's really any quantifiable measure of success, right? And so, I definitely think we have a very powerful role in affecting, change through numbers.
It's very awesome. Can you share about your background, like maybe in 1 or 2 sentences, just real brief?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly about myself. Born in LA, raised in Sylmar in the Valley. I have an accounting background. Like I said, I've been a CPA. I've been auditing and accounting for over close to 11 years now. My activism revolves around housing justice. So being part of the LA Tenants Union, doing community outreach, helping out the unhoused communities through our We Can Make a Difference LA group, sometimes helping out with other orgs as well, like K-Town for All, shout out to them. And so my activism mainly has been revolved around housing, but I've touched pretty much everything, like you said, when I ran, like healthcare, the environment, canceling student debt, just yeah, everything. So yeah, it's a quick, brief background about me.
Can you super briefly explain the party that you're running on and why you, that part briefly, and then also explain why you chose to run in that party? Yeah,
I mean, just disclaimer to everyone, this race is a nonpartisan race. So, when we run for office and voters vote, they're not going to see your party, just like how it was when we ran for Congress or, on the national level or on the state level. So me personally, I am a registered Green Party member. There are other options out there. Lots of different parties, right? I just decided to go with the Green Party. My whole life I've been a Democrat. When I first voted, I was a Democrat, and I read the Green Party platform and I liked what they stand for. Some of their mottos include people, planet, and peace over profit, which I think a lot of progressives can relate to. And so, their values align with mine, and so that's why I am a Green. And but yeah, that's the party that I'm part of. Yeah.
Nice. I guess going one step further, also, if people are interested in running, what's the history of you doing that, and is it a complicated process? And
the history of running, how to run, or
yeah, just for you. I mean, has it been complicated to run for these?
Office?
Yeah.
We started it in running. Our first real race was 2017 and 2018 for Congress. Definitely different strategies and different ways in a campaign, especially if you're running in a partisan race. So definitely you have to, if you're running in state or federal, you have to make the case on why you're running, as a Green versus a Dem or whatnot. And so there's always a lot of different strategies you have to take. I think the filing process is way easier on the federal level, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense because the local level, there's a lot of money involved, especially when it comes to developers and housing and whatnot and environmental protections. And so they're the process for running for local office is definitely more stringent, especially the paperwork and whatnot, which makes sense. So, I'd say the strategies are different, especially now that I'm running in a nonpartisan race. We're not talking about our parties. We're talking about the issues that, matter most, and, what type of financial data people want to see. And yeah.
People don't really run for office to make a bunch of money. You could be making a bunch of money as an accountant. What drives you to even do this?
I've always had an activist mindset, even just growing up, just rebelling against the school institution. But, and I always just questioned everything growing up. Is how come there's so many people living on the streets and we're so rich, right? I was 10 years old or 5 years old asking these questions. And I just thought, no one's running to provide these options. And as you dig deeper into systemic issues, you realize that there are people in charge of these systems that create laws, that create the environment for people to, act. And if those people in power are not doing anything, then we're just going to continue the same cycle, right? And so my thought process is no one is running. Even if if no one's running right now and, you feel that there isn't some support or enough support to help you out, then you got to do it yourself, because otherwise you're just going to be stuck in the same thing. And that's why it's really important to just also not just run for office, but also be part of issue-oriented movements, right? You don't just want to run for office and you're not doing the work, right? So for me, I got involved in orgs and, got on the ground and helped out And I was just sick of seeing like every time that we would be doing all these actions, it's because of the failures of our elected officials. And so if I saw that no one was running, then it's like, all right, we got support, we got movement, let's do it.
Yeah, I would say also like maybe establishment politics or politicians are probably, they make a lot of money being in office, I would say. I mean, people in the House and et cetera.
Yeah, LA City council members make the most money out of any other local office in the country. So, you're looking at over $180,000 these council members make from 15 people, over 4 million people, right? And so it's ridiculous. I think to be honest, like if you're an accountant and you're past 5 years being an accountant or 3 years, it's because it comes easy to you. Mm-hmm. It becomes second nature to you. And like accounting for me has become, easy. Like I could just wake up and do it. Right. And like, why not combine it with, helping people? And so that's what we've been doing. We've been putting out information out on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram about the city that, you would have to dig into. And that's sort of what I do as an accountant anyways. I look at numbers, I dig in stuff. And I think it's fascinating when you dig into the city, so.
Right. Well, on that note too, so how do you think being a Green Party candidate in a Democratic city will affect your campaign and or job after you potentially get it?
Yeah, I mean, this city is a huge Democratic city. Luckily, since it is a nonpartisan race, I don't think it will have much effect on us. If anything, the main effect it will have is endorsements from Dem clubs, unions, because we are not part of the Democratic, establishment or whatnot. And so that's the only way I could see it affecting us. But otherwise, I think once people read our message, go to our website, they'll fall in, love with what we're trying to do.
Yeah. What about your job?
Like as a controller?
Yeah.
Being a green? I think it would first of all be historical. I think it would be one of the highest elected green positions in the country and in the second largest city in the country. So it would probably open a lot of doors for the party nationally. If you saw us break our way through in LA. It would also affect how people, and corporate interests and establishment politicians interact with us because we are not part of that. So, they would have to find ways to get to talk to us, or, because as Greens, we're corporate free. We're beholden to the people and whatnot. So I think it would, we'd really be an independent force in local politics. So that's how I also think it would affect.
Nice. Full disclosure, I'm actually also Green Party.
I have voted Green Party, but I'm currently running in the Dem Party. What does it mean for you to be a candidate as an AAPI person? Good question. I feel like just running as an API in general, it's not really common. So, and the fact that we do have an API running, I think it's something to be proud about, especially if you have good, humble values, right, to help others. And so just the fact that the representation is low in general and not a lot of people run in our community, I think it means a lot. And if you combine that with progressive values, I think it makes it even, more so better, right? From like a historical context, right? When our families move here, they want to provide the best for us, right? And sometimes our Asian parents and / Pacific Islander parents can be more so on the conservative side, and they keep their head down and sometimes only focus on, well, Kenneth, I just want you to do you, don't get into trouble. I'm like, no, I got to help others out too, because what you did for me, I want to do the same for others, right? And so I think it's really important to have that representation and carry that history of that hard work ethic that
they instilled in me and us, and provide that for others. So I think it means, definitely a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even explain, like, to your own family what the Green Party is and why you're in the Green Party? How do you have that conversation?
Good question. I mean, I think even some of my family members are conservative, right? And I actually got them to switch to the Green Party after running, and because I think what they saw that what I was fighting for, and they realized, like, well, it makes sense. It doesn't, I think if I just did it long enough, and I was just always out there and I was always in their face and talking to my, I didn't force the Green Party or liberal or progressive politics on them. It's just, they sort of watched me, right? They saw me on the news, they see me on articles, like, oh my God, what the hell is he doing on there? And they really listened on what, well, dang, that's what Kenneth's fighting for. And it really makes sense, right? I think if you explain it to them, like how much inequality there is, how much, a certain group at the top has all the wealth, just has everything. And then you sort of explain to them how so many have nothing because of the way our system is designed. And we just keep talking about it, and they'll be like, all right, it makes sense. So luckily I got a lot of my family members to actually register green. And I also, sort of connected to where they came from the Philippines, and just talking about how they wanted, better opportunities, and I wanted to do the same. And I think that resonated with them, especially just seeing me all the time on the news. So, yeah.
That's really inspiring, because I have some conservative family members too. So it's good to know that, your convos with them got them to change their perspectives.
But the cool thing is that, Filipinos were the first Asians to be in the U.S. and, also with the farmers movement in the middle of California, Filipino progressives have a great history. And so good job on continuing that, Kenneth. It's very, very inspirational. That's kind of some notions of the past, but how about the future? What do you think about the going forward? What role do Asian American Pacific Islanders have in both politics and also not politics?
Yeah, I mean, I think this recent election, I think a lot of APIs have actually been engaged. Like, I'm seeing people from high school and college, like, posting about Black Lives Matter now, and talking about how they need to stand up for our Black brothers and sisters. More so how they led the way for us, APIs to, in fact, live the life that we do here, right? And so I think a lot of APIs are becoming more conscious about their privilege, about where they came from, and how they can affect change themselves. So I think in the future, you'll see a lot more people getting involved in the political process, or at least reading up on the candidates, or at least reading up on issues, right? Not just voting like the same way or anything. But hopefully more people run. And more people get involved in the movement work. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get some of my classmates and friends to get involved. And I've actually had some success. Some of my coworkers who I did professional accounting with are on our team now. So that's awesome. And then they're Filipino and Asian as well.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think it's going to just get better, especially after this recent election.
How can people listening best support you in your run for controller?
Yeah, people can visit our website. It's mejiaforcontroller.com, MEJIAFORCONTROLLER.com. So it's a long one. And there you can just, first of all, read up about it, see what we're trying to do, see if it makes sense. That you like what we're trying to do in bringing financial transparency, accessibility, and education about the city's finances. And if that's something that you're up for, then sign up to volunteer, join our team, and donate. I mean, this is going to be a people-powered campaign, and it's for the entire city. So we're going to need all the help as much as possible. So, yeah, sign up, help us out.
And what kind of help are you looking for?
I'd say people, there's always a lot of asks since it's a grassroots campaign. So whether it's design work, video work, photography, social media, content research on city issues that connect to the finances of the city, helping us write postcards. There's just so much that people can do. And if you can't volunteer and you're fortunate enough to donate, please donate. We're asking people to donate $5 a month to our campaign, which is less than most streaming services. So, that could help us out a long time for a big time, especially if we get a large volume of small donors. So that's the way you can help.
Cool. And then how would you like to see AAPIs engaged in both politics and otherwise?
Yeah, I would like to see APIs engaged in politics just by recognizing that, where you came from, what your parents did to come here, recognizing that hard work, acknowledging that, and then realizing your place in society as an, Asian American, right? Pacific Islander here who has so many different, opportunities to actually do things. And then once you recognize yourself and you're belonging in this place, then looking at other, minority groups that are at a disadvantage, like in our Black and brown communities, and helping them out, right? So, and then that's how I would like to see them engage. And sort of once they realize that, then they could actually start actually joining groups and getting more involved and doing movement-oriented work.
How do AAPIs help other marginalized groups like Black and brown folks, and why?
Yeah. I mean, and to answer how, here, I know plenty of amazing AAPI activists right here in LA, and luckily we live in LA, right? There's so much diversity here, but I think once you sort of get to that consciousness of who you are as an AAPI, and you start looking at the statistics of how many people are unhoused, how many people are getting evicted from their homes, and you sort of see that statistics based on people's ethnicity or background, you could see that there's this huge influx relating more so towards Black and brown communities, right? And once you recognize that, holy crap, this isn't right, then you use your power to help out organizations and join organizations helping out Black Lives Matter, or you could join K-Town for All, or you could join the LA Tenants Union, or, I would just say join an organization would be your next step to actually help out, marginalized communities.
And how can folks increase their interaction with candidates and actual public officials?
Yeah, that's always been tough because it's always hard to talk to our city council members or even get their attention. So, for us as a candidate, right? Because I could speak as a candidate, you could always reach out to me or us on social media. That's one cool advantage of us is we have we read our messages and we respond, and so you can reach out to us through social media or through email. To get interaction with your city council member or other elected officials, that might be a lot harder. And so, make phone calls to see if you could set up a meeting. That's the more formal way to do it. And you might not even get a call back, or, you could bring the attention to them, right? If you're really passionate about something and your council member or mayor is not doing anything right, you take the battle to them, right? And so that's what Black Lives Matter LA did for 20 plus days outside of Mayor Garcetti's mansion, and it brought media attention, and they wanted to talk to him about focusing on LA and not going to, Biden's cabinet. And look what happened. Like, Black Lives Matter LA and the people won. So, there's just a whole different types of ways you can actually interact with your council member or politician, indirectly and directly.
And you were out there quite often.
Yeah, we were there. I was there like 17 plus days. So it was community, right? Yep. Coming together for a joint cause. And I think that's why it was so beautiful, right?
Yeah. And I mean, some of those people are now on your campaign who may not have heard of you before, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of folks, luckily, like, I think the LA activist movement here, everyone's sort of like, it's small, but it's big, right? We all sort of like know, like, oh yeah, I saw him over there. Like, yeah, I've heard of him. Like, oh, I didn't know he was there. Like, that's crazy. Like I said, it's just all about doing the work and putting others above your self-interest. And I think that's what we've really done well as a campaign. Like, we're reaching out to organizations. We're not making it about us as running for control, but more so how can we help them with our expertise in finance, and, finding out about the city's data can be beneficial to your organization. So that's sort of what we've been doing. Very cool.
Very cool. Any other comments you'd like to make, Kenneth, before we kind of wrap up and summarize?
No, just, help out others if you can. If you have the means to. No one's doing anything, then do it yourself or see if other people are doing it. So that's all I can say. Yeah. And then go to our website, help us out. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of fill that void where there is an opportunity. Yeah.
If not us, who? And why not us?
Right.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for speaking with us and sharing your insights. I'm really excited about your campaign.
I just want to quickly do a recap. Yeah, so in this episode, Kenneth talked about his campaign for running for controller, sparked by progressive values and trying to infuse that into the office that controls the budget and auditing for where money goes in the city of Los Angeles. And I think that's kind of a big takeaway going forward as progressives, that I think it doesn't really matter what background and where you're coming from, which walk of life. We all share the same kind of basic principles. And yeah, I think we all have values that we can impart and share with others to get to the goals that we want to for a sustainable, peaceful world with less inequity. And I also feel like the running theme seems to be joining an organization is very helpful, and to maximize your own potential to contribute to these causes. And did I leave anything out, Kenneth, Jiyoung?
I think what I took away is that Kenneth wants to increase transparency and really dive into where our money is going, so that we can maximize the use of it in the best ways that we can. Anything else, Kenneth?
No, I think that's pretty much it. That's what we want to do: bring transparency, make financial data accessible, and educate the public on our finances. So let's do it.
Sounds good. So yeah, thank you very much again, Kenneth, for joining us.
Awesome. No, thank you. Thanks both of you for having me on and for doing this for our AAPI community. So thank you.
All right. So the food for thought for this week is, given Kenneth's run as a Green Party candidate for controller, how do you think you could be effective in supporting campaigns like these, which may or may not be on the radar of people that are generally preoccupied with other things? So that's the thing to think about next week. So coming up on January 18th. Our episode is What's Up with the 2020 election in California. And on that show, we will have a guest from UCLA, the current chair of the Asian American Studies Department, Natalie Matsuoka. And we're going to talk about how Asian Americans in California voted in the 2020 primary, and really the notion of them swinging the election propositions, really. Is going to be discussed at length. So it's going to be a very fun episode, and I hope to see everyone then. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.